Letter to Loretta. Starring Loretta Young.
Hello. I was watching the beginning of our half hour with you here on my set. You know, television is just wonderful, isn't it? Come to think of it, it's magic. Here I am in my living room in Southern California. And all you have to do is flip a little switch right there, and presto, television brings my living room right into yours, wherever yours may be, all over the United States. Just think of all the places I can be at once. That used to be a dream of mine when I was a kid. I think that's just plain wonderful. Now, I have a letter here from a man who lives in, well, maybe I better not say, because most of this letter is a complaint about the conditions that prevail in his city. Anyway, he sums the whole thing up by saying, why don't they do something about it? They, the mysterious they, whom we all tend to hold responsible for injustice. Who are they? Well, I'm going to try to answer that question tonight by telling you a story that I heard a couple of years ago. Now, the woman in this story is one of those mysterious theys, and it all begins in an airport.
Mr. Robert Brown, any seat, Mr. Brown. Mrs. Charles Harris, any seat, Mrs. Harris. Miss Kate Nordlinger, any seat.
Thank you.
This is the right plane for Capital City, isn't it?
That's right, Mr. Benton.
I have a horror of getting on the wrong plane someday and winding up in Tibet.
It's not very likely on this flight. Your name's on the passenger list.
But that won't keep me from worrying.
Mr. Spencer, any seat.
Let me help you with that, Miss Nordlinger.
Oh, you know me?
Well, we've never actually met, but travel in the same circles.
Oh, I see.
Can I get you a pillow?
Oh, no, thank you.
Blanket?
No, thanks.
Well, how about a stick of gum?
Oh, no, thank you.
Oh, you must chew gum while you're up in the air. Relieves the pressure on the ears.
Well, in that case, thank you.
Why it relieves pressure on the ears, I haven't the vaguest notion.
No.
Miss Nordlinger. Miss Nordlinger.
Oh, yes?
This telegram just came for you.
Oh, thank you.
Well, aren't you going to open it, Miss Nordlinger? Promise not to peek. Or at most only a little bit.
Well, I can't open it. You see, I'm not Miss Nordlinger.
I must be having one of those days when my head comes to a point. I don't understand it.
Oh, well, it's really quite simple. You see, this flight was all booked solid. Well, there was a woman who had suddenly changed her mind about taking the flight, and well, she overheard me discussing it with the reservation clerk. And so she offered to sell me her ticket.
I see.
Well, it would have taken extra time to have it validated in my name, so I just used hers, see?
You deceitful woman.
I didn't deceive you. I deceived the stewardess. You just happened to have your ears flapping when I answered the name of Nordlinger.
Well, that doesn't explain why you let me go on with that bilge about traveling in the same circles.
Well, you're trying to pick me up, and I just thought I'd help you out a little.
You know, that's what I like about the modern woman. She's so shy and retiring.
My name is Lincoln. Peg Lincoln.
Lincoln? Lincoln. That sounds vaguely familiar.
I write it. I do mystery novels. Perhaps you've read some of my stuff, huh?
No, I'm afraid not. Are you any relation to Abraham Lincoln?
Oh, my dear man. I have heard that one since I was a wee child. Now, what to do about this?
Is anything wrong?
What do you see all of a sudden?
Nonsense. We're still on the ground. It must be your imagination.
It's so stuffy in here.
Miss
It's
Lincoln.
so stuffy.
Stewardess,
What?
tell the pilot not to take off and have him call an ambulance right away. This young lady's very ill.
Yes, sir, right away.
Ill? Oh, brother, was I ill. The next 2 days were a nightmare of stomach pumps and high fever and worried-looking doctors. But finally, I was allowed to leave the hospital. Grant Benton, who gave up his trip and had been very attentive throughout, was on hand to drive me home.
Yeah, let me help you off of this.
Oh, thanks, Nab. I'm kind of cold. The doctor warned me I might get chills from time to time. He's right.
Better fix Miss Lincoln some tea, hmm? Oh, peanuts.
Ooh.
Want some?
No, thanks.
Anything wrong?
But his telegram.
Isn't that the one delivered to you aboard the plane? One addressed to the Nordlinger woman.
That's right, it is.
No, well, what about it?
Well, just this. I'm certain it wasn't in my pocket when I left the hospital. I looked to find out.
Well, maybe you didn't notice it.
Or maybe you stole it from me when you carried me off the plane. And maybe you read it, and then maybe you resealed the envelope, and then maybe you slipped it into my pocket when you helped me into your car.
Now, what makes you think You want to go straight to bed. Still a little feverish from that ptomaine.
And that's another thing that's been bothering me all along. Now, how could I have ptomaine when I never eat for 6 hours before I travel?
Contaminated water, maybe. You must have had something.
I'm just now beginning to realize what I had. A stick of poison chewing gum to relieve the pressure on my ears.
You actually think I poisoned you?
Yes.
Well, now, why would I do a thing like that to a girl I'd never seen before, never had anything to do with?
Well, you poisoned me thinking I was an Nordlinger woman. But fortunately for me,
Oh, deliver me from female mystery writers.
fortunately for me, you discovered your mistake in time to correct it by rushing me to a hospital.
Well, for a murderer, then, I'm really quite a pleasant fellow after all, hmm? Not one of these indiscriminate killers. Look, you're not yourself at the moment, but maybe we can end this delirium right now.
Oh, don't...
No. Have a nice trip, love. Signed, Aunt Ellen. Say, that's in my gang's secret code. It means boatload of stolen jewels ready to set sail at dawn for What Cheer, Iowa.
It was thoughtful of you to rip the envelope so I can't check the resealing.
Okay, I give up. Maybe when you're feeling better, you'll realize that you've got me all confused with one of your mystery plots. So until then, goodbye, Miss Lincoln.
Perhaps I was a little feverish, but if so, it seemed to me that the fever had made my mind clearer and sharper than usual. Telegram, for instance. Something about it appeared wrong. Something I wouldn't have ordinarily noticed. Never mind the tea, Bella. I'm going out for a little while.
But you can't. You're too ill to go anywhere, Miss Lincoln.
Oh, maybe you're right, Bella. But I have a feeling I'll stay a lot healthier if I get to that telegraph office right away. I checked the main telegraph office to find out the branch from which the telegram had been sent.
Oh, it's a regulation form, all right. And the message is pasted on in strips just the way we do it. But look how different the type is from a regulation telegram. Someone must have played a joke on you.
Yeah. Tell me, was any telegram sent to Kate Nordlinger at the airport 2 days ago?
I could look it up for you in a minute.
Will you please?
Nathan, Nixon, N. Oh, here we are. Nordlinger.
What's the message?
It says, on your return, we'll contact you at Hotel Ludwig. Signed, Patricia Smythe. S-M-Y-T-H-E.
Hotel Ludwig. Is there a phone here that I can use?
Right over there.
Oh, yes, of course. I'm sorry. I had no idea what I'd say to Kate Nordlinger when I reached her. But as it turned out, I didn't reach her. And the desk clerk was so evasive as to her whereabouts that I finally asked to be switched to Joe McNamara, the house detective. Mac was an old friend of mine who had once helped me with the research for one of my books. Mac, I'm trying to locate one of your hotel guests, a Miss Kate Nordlinger.
Well, she isn't with us anymore. No, she didn't leave a forwarding address. I know it looks queer, but, well...
Mac, please don't hide anything from me. It's very important that I talk to her as soon as possible.
You can't get hold of her, Miss Lincoln. She, Well, a couple of nights ago, she threw herself out of the window of the 14th floor. Miss Lincoln? Miss Lincoln?
Yes, Mac, I'm still here. Yeah. No, I won't say anything to anybody.
Things like that are bad publicity for the hotel. So far, we've been able to keep them out of the newspaper. Well, I don't know too much about her. She was a private detective.
I see. Yeah, well, thanks, Mac. Sure. So long.
Patricia Smythe, the woman who sent that telegram, did she leave a return address in case the message wasn't delivered?
I believe so. It's the usual thing. Are you ill, miss? You look pale.
No, I'm all right, thank you. Would you look for me, please?
Why, certainly. Patricia Smythe, 1100 Broadview Vista.
Just a minute. 1100 Broadview Vista.
It seemed to be some kind of a horrible dream, and the unknown Patricia Smythe was my only hope of waking up.
Yes?
Is Patricia Smythe in, please?
Patricia Smythe?
Yes.
Why, yesterday she's dead, ma'am.
The late Patricia Smythe's landlady, when I came out of my faint, was enough to send me scurrying to the district attorney's office.
Miss Lincoln, the district attorney will see you now.
Oh, thank you very much. Mr. Longman?
How do you do, Miss Lincoln?
How do you do?
Sit down, won't you?
Oh, thank you.
I've been half expecting you all day. Grant Benton phoned me right after he left your home. He said you had some wild idea he'd given you poison. You might want to register a complaint.
Is Mr. Benton a friend of yours?
Yes. My best friend. We grew up together.
See, I'm going to do myself a lot of good here.
Miss Lincoln, I assure you I'd never let friendship interfere with the efficiency of this office. However, having known Grant Benton all his life, I can also assure you that he wouldn't harm a fly. It's true he has a somewhat weird sense of humor.
Mr. Longman, your friend with his weird sense of humor has murdered 2 women in the past 48 hours.
Grant told me you're just out of the hospital, Miss Lincoln.
Yes, that's right,
Well,
I
wouldn't
am.
it be wiser if you went home and rested for a while?
Why don't you just listen to what I have to say and then decide whether I'm delirious or not, huh?
All right.
Thank you. Now, first of all, have you ever heard of a girl called Patricia Smythe?
Yes, of course.
Oh?
Well, Patricia worked for this office until yesterday. That is, until she was killed in a hit-and-run accident. We're still trying to find the driver. Do you by any chance know who that driver was?
Indeed, I do. It was Grant Benton.
I see. Do you have any proof of
No,
this?
I don't. Not exactly. Not yet.
Miss
but
Lincoln. The police have an eyewitness report that the killer drove a light tan convertible. Grant Benton owns a dark sedan.
But he could have borrowed someone else's car, couldn't he?
Yes.
Of course he could.
Sit down. Now then, you mentioned still another murder.
Yes, there was. 2 nights ago, he went to the Hotel Ludwig and pushed a woman out of the window. Now, that was Kate Nordlinger. Well, no, I haven't got any proof of that yet, either.
Naturally, there was an official investigation of the Nordlinger death. Now, I read that report carefully. I'm satisfied it was suicide.
You are?
Yes.
I bet Mr. Benton is even more than satisfied.
No, you're letting your imagination run away with you.
I'll tell you one thing. This is not my imagination. It's there. As I told him about the fake telegram, he showed real interest for the first time. I began to think I was actually making some headway. But then...
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do, Miss Lincoln.
Yes?
I'll check with the telegraph company. Now, if anything develops, I'll get in touch with you later.
You'll get in touch with me later.
I realize you're taking all this very seriously.
Mr. Longman, what am I supposed to do? Sit around like a duck in a shooting gallery till you decide whether I'm crazy or
Miss
not?
Lincoln, wait a minute. Do you want to prefer charges against Grant Benton?
Well, no, I couldn't. You know I haven't got any proof yet.
Well, where does that leave us?
Oh. Leaves you thinking that your best friend is the victim of a few embarrassing coincidences. And it leaves me thinking that, well...
That the district attorney is a good-natured bubblehead being taken in by a pal?
Well, you said it, sir. I didn't.
Well, I'll do my best to correct that impression.
Yes?
Meanwhile, why don't you go home and get some rest?
Get some rest, the man said. Oh, sure. Just close your eyes and forget there's a killer on the loose. It was a small comfort to know I had a gun. Private detectives have guns, too. A fat lot of good it had done Kate Nordlinger. Then finally, late in the afternoon, the district attorney phoned. Hello? Oh, yes, Mr. Longman.
I just called to tell you I checked with the telegraph company. Your story's on the level.
Well, I already knew that.
There are a couple of other developments I'd like to bring you up to date on. Would you mind if I dropped in after dinner?
I certainly wish you would. It's going to be mighty lonely around here after my maid leaves. Yes. Yes, 8:30 will be fine. Goodbye. Oh, come in, Mr. Longwood.
Good evening. I'm early. I'm sorry. I hope I'm not too early.
Well, just as...
What a handsome couple you two make. Our forthright young district attorney and the lovely lady who was only recently voted Miss Unbridled Imagination of the 20th century.
Now, you remember, Grant, you're on your best behavior.
Oh, I shall ooze decorum from every pore.
It was Grant's idea that the three of us could talk this thing out in a calm and reasonable way.
Oh, I see.
Oh, please, Miss Lincoln, take my word for it. There's nothing to be frightened of.
No, I suppose not. Won't you go in, please? Sit down, won't you?
Oh, thanks.
Perhaps you'd like some cigarettes.
Not for me, thanks.
Would you care for one, Mr. Longman?
Oh, thank you.
Now then, Miss Lincoln, where would you like me to begin?
Oh, well, let's start with Kate Nordlinger at the airport. Now, she saw you, and that's why she decided not to take that flight. You see, she knew you, but you didn't know her.
Well, that's pretty fancy.
All right. The fake telegram. Explain that away.
You're starting with a butte. That's the one thing I can't explain.
Oh?
I haven't the vaguest notion why it was done or who did it.
But you didn't.
No. Look, won't you even try to believe me?
All right. I will try. Let's even say that you had nothing to do with the hit-and-run killing. Hmm?
Now you're talking sense. All right, then the next step is the blonde, whatever her name was, the one who committed suicide.
Kate Nordlinger.
Kate Nordlinger.
How did you know she was a blonde?
I read it in the papers with my big brown eyes.
Why, the whole thing was kept out of the newspapers.
I was wondering why you're so interested in that drawer. Better put it in your pocket, Ray. The young lady has some odd notions of hospitality.
Miss Lincoln, I thought you understood. I'm not here to trick Grant into a confession or anything as absurd as that.
But how did he know she was a blonde?
Well, I frequently discuss cases with Grant. No doubt I told him that the Nordlinger woman was a blonde.
You did, Ray. I distinctly remember.
Oh, for heaven's sake, Mr. Longman. Open your eyes. He's it. The explanation fits.
What explanation?
Well, just this. Patricia Smythe worked in your office as a clerk, right?
Yes.
All right. Now, while she was there, she probably ran across, well, some information that incriminated our friend here. She no doubt decided not to tell you about it because you were such good friends of Benton's you wouldn't believe her anyway. So she went to a private detective. Now, that's Kate Nordlinger.
Mm-hmm.
And they started working on the case together. Well, somehow or other, our friend here found out what was going on. And then when he learned that the Nordlinger woman was going to take a plane to see the state's attorney, he decided to act. However, at that time, he only knew her by name. And that's how he happened to give me the poison by mistake. Well, it makes sense so far, doesn't it?
Yes. Makes sense.
You're doggone right it does. And then through the telegram, the real telegram that they delivered to me on the plane, he found out that Kate Nordlinger stayed at the Hotel Ludwig. And that night, while I was in the hospital, he went there and killed her. He pushed her out of a window. And then later, he ran down Patricia Smythe in a borrowed automobile.
Borrowed automobile?
That's
really,
right.
Miss Lincoln, your logic.
Never mind, Ray. She's right. I've made a couple of slips, and the whole Supreme Court couldn't shake her loose now.
There.
Makes you any happier? I killed both women. You have the dubious honor of having proved your point.
You know, you're a real card, you are. You're going to be trying for laughs when they strap you in.
No, me and they're not strapping. I'd advise you to glance at our forthright young district attorney.
I'm sorry, Miss Lincoln. We did our best to talk you out of this. Now you leave me no choice but, well,
Shall I tell you what our forthright young district attorney means? He means that he and I control the gambling in this town, and anyone who interferes is liable to get hurt, very hurt. Dead, you might say.
Maybe I should have mentioned that the bushes outside here are just thick with men from the state's attorney's office.
What? Wait, easy, Ray, easy.
You see, when you called me this afternoon, you told me that you checked with the telegraph office about that fake telegram. Well, when I talked to them later, they said that you hadn't checked. And that meant that you knew about it all along.
So you telephoned the state's attorney. Is that what you want us to believe?
Yes, I did. And also, the local police were very helpful. They were the ones who told me that you had a tan convertible. Exactly like the murder car.
I warned you not to use my car.
Calm down. She's only guessing, stalling, wasting time.
No, I'm not. Why, for every crook like you, there are 1,000 honest law enforcers who are only too willing to fight your guy. And there's a group of them right outside right now.
You better leave the comedy to me, Miss Lincoln.
They're under orders to demand entry at the slightest disturbance. So, go ahead. Fire that gun. Fire it, and they'll be in here like a swarm of gnats.
And if I don't fire it?
Take your chances in the court. After all, it was Benton here who killed those women. You didn't.
If you have any qualms about this, Ray, just hand over the gun to me.
Get back, Grant. Get back and stay back. There's your slight disturbance.
They'll be here.
We'll wait.
That bluff went over like a lead balloon. Now, come on, Ray. Hand over the gun to me.
Please don't give it to her. Don't.
Now, you're frightened, Miss Lincoln.
I'm scared to
Come
death.
on, Ray.
Quiet.
Come in.
All right, take him out. Are you all right, Miss Lincoln? Yes. Come on, Kent, sit down.
I'm all right. I'm just scared.
Here, use this.
Thank you. How does a man like that ever get into office anyway?
He's voted in, ma'am.
Well, then why do they do something about it?
Who do you mean, they?
Well, who's ever responsible? I don't know.
Well, that's you, ma'am.
Me?
Yeah, well, you, me, the voters. Ray Longman was elected district attorney by the lightest vote ever recorded in our local elections.
I don't get it.
Well, there's an old saying. Bad politicians are elected by good citizens who don't vote.
Oh.
Good night, Miss Lincoln. I'll check with you tomorrow on this.
Yeah. And thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, I hope I can remember the exact words of that policeman in our story tonight. Bad politicians are elected by good citizens who don't vote. That makes good sense, doesn't it?
Visit Loretta Young again next week, same time, same station.